All right, today we're going to go over 1.3, which is solving equations with variables on both sides. Okay, so the first essential question is, how do you create and solve equations with a variable on both sides of the equation? Well, the steps that we're going to be taking are pretty much the same as the ones that we've been using before. With the only difference is that now we got to be careful because we got to check for those things on the left and on the right side. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and write the questions that we always ask ourselves. For example, the first one is, as we remember, do we have parentheses? So that is the first thing that you should be asking yourself. After that, do I have any like terms? Okay, and remember, we want to be checking for those as we simplify before solving. Now, I am going to add an extra step because since we have variables on both sides, we got to move those variables to either one of the sides. My advice is move the variable to the left. Okay. Once you do that, then you can start following the process, which is staying consistent, making zeros. And remember, we make zeros by either adding or subtracting. Remember, positive and negative, they're opposite of each other. And we make ones by either multiplying or dividing. Remember, multiplication is the opposite of division and vice versa. Okay, once we're ready to answer the questions or to answer the question, then let's go ahead and do it. So the first thing we got to check for is, do we have parentheses? And obviously the answer is yes. So we got to take care of that. So I'm going to multiply -2 times the x. Okay, so then I get -2 times x, which is -2x. And now I'm going to multiply -2 times -4. Negative times a negative equals a positive. So that turns into +8. All right. Once you do that, just bring everything down. And I'm just going to go ahead and write my line or draw my line. And I'm going to bring everything down. So the +9 equals 4x, -10, and 3x. Cool. All right. The next thing is continue to ask yourself those questions. We obviously don't have a parentheses anymore. The next thing that we should be checking for is like terms. Okay. All right. Now you got to be careful here because you might have like terms on both sides of the equations, which is completely fine. What I want you to do is check the left and then the right side. Okay. So for now, I only want to check the left side. Okay. This is the left. This is the right. So on the left side, do I have like terms? And the answer is yes. I do have a 3x and I do have a 4x, which I can put together. That is 3x plus 4x, which is 7x. And the other thing, I'm just going to bring it down. Okay. All right. Now on the right side, do I have any like terms? And the answer is yes, I do. I do have two numbers that don't have x's, which means they're like terms. I do have the +8 and I do have the +9, which I can also put together. That is 8 + 9, which is 17. And I'm just going to bring the -2x down. Now the 17 is a positive, so I'm just going to put a plus sign there. Cool. All right. So I check for parentheses. I check for like terms. Now the extra step is to move the variable to the left side. Now notice that I have a -2 on the right side and I have a 7x on the left side. I want all my variables to be on the left side of my equation. So I got to move that -2x because I want it on the left, right? I want this number to be over there. Well, let's do that. All right. Well, how do I get rid of that -2x? Well, let's do the opposite. What's the opposite of minus 2x? Well, the opposite of minus 2x would be plus 2x. And whatever I do to one side, I'm going to go ahead and do it to the other. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. I'm going to draw my line. And let's go ahead and do math. 7x plus 2x equals 9x. I didn't touch that, so I'm just going to bring it down. Negative 2x plus 2x equals 0, which is what we wanted. And I'm just going to bring that down. Cool. Once that's done, now you got a simple two-step equation. We got to stay consistent. We got to make zeros and we got to make ones. So the first thing we want to get rid of is the minus 10, because remember, we want the x completely by itself. So let's touch it until the end. So what's the opposite of a minus 10? Well, the opposite would be a plus 10. Whatever I do to one side, I'm going to go ahead and do to the other. Draw your line and just do math. I'm going to bring that down because I didn't touch it. That is 9x. Negative 10 plus 10x equals 0. I made another 0. And 17 plus 10 equals 27. So I made a 0. The last step would be to create a 1. And remember, what is the 9x doing? Well, there's technically nothing in there. So I'm just going to put a multiplication symbol, which means they're multiplying. So if I want to get rid of the 9, I got to do the opposite, which is, what is the opposite of multiplication? That would be division. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this by 9. It always has to be by the same number. So I'm going to divide this by 9. I'm going to draw my line and just do math. 9 divided by 9 equals 1. So you're left with x equals 27 divided by 9, which is 3. And that is your solution to the equation. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same steps, but just a little longer. And you do gotta be careful for both sides.